Yes, people, we are here. We are here. It is it's still, in my opinion, the biggest game in English football, and that is Liverpool versus Manchester United. It doesn't matter if Liverpool are languishing in 8th, 10th, finishing, in poor positions in the league with, Jovanovic or Ngog up front, Voronin, some of these kind of players, etc., etc. It doesn't matter if the manager of the opposing team is David Moyes, Ralph Ragnick, or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. This is still, like I said, in my opinion, the biggest game in English football. The two biggest and best clubs in England go head to head again for what we hope to be another blockbuster. I'm here bringing you my quick match preview. I'll be giving you my lineup for the game, my scoreline for the game as well. Please, 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 guys, if you're tuning in, make sure you smash that like, make sure you share, and make sure you do subscribe to the channel on the road to 900 subs. It is the Liverpool Manchester United match preview. Let's get it.
Now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep fitting in love.
Yes, people, you know what time it is. You do know what it is. It's G, and we are back in the damn building. Guys, I'm literally just coming off of doing my actual... So this is going to be me filming this quite early, so there might be some news I might be missing out on, but that's why you guys have got your other channels, there to drop that news for you guys. Giving you this straight after Liverpool's Europa League game against USG, which they lost. But it's okay because we've got something in common with Manchester United, who also lost their last European game against Bayern Munich. So both teams not coming into this game in the best of form, so to speak, in terms of their last match. But of course, context, Manchester United needed to win that game to stand any chance of progressing through the Champions League, and Liverpool did not need to do anything. Like I said, Liverpool could have got beaten 6-7, 8-5, like 9-0, and we still would have topped the group, and I think that's just one of those kind of things. So you saw that in the lineup that Liverpool played against USG. A lot of young players, playing, Kai Gordon, Ben Doak, Scanlon coming off the bench, would I say sort of inexperienced midfield, so to speak, even though the performance wasn't that good. It was still quite inexperienced, midfield. Manchester United, I mean, coming off the back of their game against Bayern Munich, where they didn't really lay a glove on the German champions, if I'm being totally honest with you, not to say that they're there necessarily for the taking, but for a team who needed to win, I didn't get that kind of vibe, from them. I really didn't get those type of vibes. But ultimately, it is what it is. I don't really care. The fact that they have been knocked out, the fact that, they were, United fans, they know who they are. We all know, we've all seen the videos, seen the memes now and stuff like that. They were laughing at Liverpool. Oh, didn't make Champions League, and Liverpool got to travel to Kazakhstan and all of these other, extraordinary and beautiful places, might I add. But Manchester United end up getting knocked out of Europe completely. I find that absolutely fantastic. So big up all the Manchester United supporters out there. I hope you're loving life right now. This is just really an ounce of how it was to be a Liverpool fan, all those years. And to be honest, yours is... I might be biased because I was going to say yours is probably worse. And it probably is, actually, because you were so dominant for like a 20-year period, with Sir Alex Ferguson. And then now looking at you, it's like, we just now feel sorry for you, so like, well, me personally anyway, I just kind of feel sorry for you, watching Manchester United these days, watching, you know, their performances from manager to manager to manager to manager, from being such a massive club, winning so consecutively for such a long period of time. You know, Liverpool had their dominant period within a decade, really within like 2 decades. But I don't know if I'd have to check the history books. But you know, the way that Manchester United done it over over those last like 20 years, you know, with Sir Alex Ferguson and stuff like that, I didn't ever feel like we'd get into this type of space. I knew there'd be a drop off eventually, of course, once he leaves, but to this kind of degree, it's crazy. And I think in fact, I do think it's worse because they're still able to spend money like it's going out of fashion. It's not even like, you know, like Liverpool, you know, were a club who, you know, spending a lot of money buying all these good players, the Kenny Dalglish, the John Barnes, the Ian Rush, all these kind of guys. Yes, they were spending money to do so, but once, you know, the Premier League kind of kicked in, Liverpool weren't really spending money like the Manchester Uniteds, the Blackburns and stuff like that. You know, the Chelseas, the Manchester Cities, the now Newcastles. We weren't really spending though like that. So there was always going to come that drop off, and it was always about, you know, hoping that you could potentially get yourself back up to that kind of mold. Whereas you guys, Manchester United, you guys have been spending money like there's no man's business. I'm not saying that Liverpool haven't spent any money before anybody says, oh, but we've spent money. But we've spent money. Of course we haven't. We spent more money than other clubs, the smaller clubs. But I'm just talking in relation to, or in context of now. Manchester United, you would have thought that they've not really missed a beat, and they've been so poor, so poor. Last season, I don't know, was last season just a excuse me, was last season just like a false hope? You know, Manchester United finishing third in the Premier League, winning the League Cup, getting to the FA Cup final, I believe. Getting to the FA Cup final against Manchester City, obviously losing out there to the eventual treble winners. Was it like a false dawn for them? You know, of course, Manchester United fans, if you are in the chat, big up your damn selves. Let me know what you think. But that's what it almost feels like with Manchester United, that last season was just a false hope. They thought that they were going to be a force to be reckoned with. To be fair, if you checked my early predictions of the Premier League, I thought Manchester United would be a lot better. I thought you can only go up from here. I didn't think you'd go so far down in the way that you have, you know, at this current moment in time, which I find amazing, the sheer fact that you have done so, and you've just, honestly, it's poor. But I say that, and I do say that, when you look at the table, if I just bring out the table for you guys, cool. So obviously you guys can see the table here. You can see ultimately, as much as I think they've been kind of shit and they're 10 points off top, they are 6. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, as bad as it's been, they are 6. And obviously this is just before the weekend games, of course, kick in. So they could be further behind if all those teams in front of them, of course, win. And obviously teams below them potentially win as well. But yeah, you know, it's one of those funny old seasons. It's really, really one of those funny old seasons. Of course, I'm assuming, and I can only assume based on you listening to Manchester United fans and stuff like that, and fan channels, and I like to keep in touch with all the top clubs, like their fan channels and how the fans kind of react to certain things, and you get a better gauge of how people are feeling, you know, so to speak, and you know, take it on board. But when I look at, or when I hear, should I say, sorry, listening to United fans, most will be happy if they can come away with a 1-0 loss or a 2-0 loss coming out of this game. And this season, they haven't really been too happy. You know, there's been so many things wrong. I mean, they've got a massive injury list as well, from what I gather. You know, Bruno Fernandes misses out through suspension. Of course, they've got Jadon Sancho still doing up exile and eating, you know, lunch with all the kids and all that kind of stuff. Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw picked up an injury in the first half against Bayern in that Champions League game. I don't know if Victor Lindelof, I don't know if he's coming back or he is available for the game. And I think they've got quite a few other bits and bobs in general in terms of their injury list. But yeah, it's a crazy time. It's a crazy time for Manchester United. And it's funny, considering that last season, Liverpool was so poor and only finished like a few points, I believe, you know, behind Manchester United. And now look at this season, we're 10 points in front of them, only in 16 matches. You know, Manchester United have played 16 games and only scored 18 goals, but conceded 21 goals. You know, that's kind of crazy. Liverpool, on the other hand, 16 games, 36 goals and 15 goals conceded. You know, it's stark contrast. Stark contrast, if I'm being totally honest with you. And when you look at the teams above Manchester United, really, Villa, Tottenham are probably the two teams that they might have been looking at the beginning of the season, or they will have been looking at the beginning of the season and saying, we should be ahead of these type of teams. Maybe even also Arsenal and Liverpool, depending on how they feel. But I definitely know that both Villa and Spurs, they definitely didn't think that they'd be behind those two and only a point in front of Newcastle and Brighton. So yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle this season if they get battered this weekend as well. This guy's got to go. But again, that's just my own personal opinion. Really, Manchester United fans will be the best. Of course, they'll be the best people to kind of tell you in terms of where their club is at. Will a new manager coming into Manchester United, will that change anything? Will that, mean anything for Manchester United? I've seen Zinedine Zidane, the Graham Potters, Eddie Howe, some people are talking about. Will that really change much about Manchester United? We hear about the Glazers and stuff like that. Is it a deep-rooted problem that is happening? Because you can't have had all of these managers and all of these managers are failing. Like, you're not a small club. Do you know what I mean? You're not just some tin pot club, from nowhere who are doing this and doing that. You're alongside Liverpool, the biggest club, in England, arguably in the world, So the sheer fact that they're in this kind of position that they find themselves in, it reminds me a bit of like a Football Manager save, to be honest, when you played Football Manager like 30 years later and, I don't know, Rotherham are now Champions League winners. It's always something weird that you might only see it like a couple of times in Manchester United and Liverpool are doing shit. Heck, in some of my Football Manager saves, Liverpool have been relegated. Manchester United have been relegated if you've played like 50, 60 years, into the game. Like, it's crazy. It's actually kind of crazy seeing the way that things are now and how much it resembles that. But look, I'm here for it, man. I'm absolutely here for it. Now, let's go to my predicted lineup. So obviously, before we get into that, obviously we know the absentees. Again, at the time of this video, I don't know if anything else is going to pop up, but at the time of this video on the 14th of December, we know obviously Diogo Jota, he was back running, but I doubt he's going to be fit for the game. But again, that might change. We might hear differently by the time this video comes out. Obviously, Alisson is back. You've got Thiago Baditic. We already know about those two. Outside of that, there isn't really any. Alexis McAllister, obviously, we've seen with all of his pictures and everything that's going around social media and stuff like that. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a lengthy one for him. Matip as well, we know it's a lengthy one there. So yeah, I think those are the main ones. Again, if anything else picks up, you guys will know after the 14th of December, before the game. So yeah, I've tried to base my lineup. I'm not going to say predicted lineup. I don't know really what Klopp's going to play, but the lineup I would play in a game like this. So let's get this up. Okay, cool. So as you guys can see, I've already filled out a couple of positions because I feel like those will be guaranteed, give or take. Yeah, those will be guaranteed. Tsimikas, Van Dijk, Alisson, Szoboszlai, Mo Salah. I feel like those are guaranteed. I should have really put Trent in there, but obviously it just depends on where we want to play Trent Alexander-Arnold in a game like this. So what I'm going to do is, and guys, if you guys are obviously watching this, let me know what your lineup or your preferred lineup would be for the game. I'm going to go Gomez in at right back. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I mean, you could go Konate against a Højlund. I don't really envisage too many problems, but Konate staying fit. Then we got the West Ham game. He came off 45. He came. I think he came off in the Europa League game. I'll go Konate. Konate. Then I'm going to put Trent in that DM position. Now, Endo has been given chance after chance recently. I don't think he's impressed. Manchester United ate Manchester City, so I'm not looking at it thinking, oh my goodness, like we need to, do you know what I mean? But we still need to give them some level of respect. At the end of the day, it's still Manchester United, and and this is football. Anything can kind of happen. But obviously, with Alexis McAllister out injured, I just think Endo, yeah, I'm just not right now really clicking it. I feel like he's the type of player that can come off the bench and maybe if you want to take off Gomez or Kanate for like if he then say you play that midfield right there, yeah. Let me put in the next midfield. So say you play that midfield, right? If in the second half you want to take off Kanate because he's feeling it and he can't really, whatever, you could put Gomez into centre back, Trent back at right back, and then obviously put Endo on if you feel that you need to maybe just tighten it up a tad kind of thing. You could do something like that with Trent then doing the kind of inverted that inverted role that he does where he'll kind of come into here. Then yeah, fair enough. I haven't really got a problem. But yeah, for the start of the game, I probably would start him there. But he does still need to understand. Yes, you can get forward, and I think with this whole midfield and the way that we are probably trying to set up, it's more about defending as a team as opposed to having a defensive midfielder who sits there, breaks up play, and etc. etc. I feel like it will be every now and again, we might see stuff like this, all of a sudden, or heck, you might even see something like this. In the game, this will be pretty decent. With Curtis Jones just dropping in, how he likes to kind of fill these kind of areas here, picking up the ball, playing it back to Tsimikas or Van Dijk, and just kind of roaming around with it. Trent kind of in this kind of position here where he's got a bit more free roam with Mo Salah obviously coming out wide, and then you've got Joe Gomez who's a bit more conservative. He'll go up and down here. I'm obviously in that byline, but he won't go just gung ho. You won't just see him here in this position like how you would see Robbo and Trent, where it's almost like that. I feel like he will be a bit more conservative and understand that role a little bit better. So yeah, that's just kind of the midfield, so to speak, that I would potentially go for. But guys in the chat, let me know. Of course, there is Gravenberch as well, but I don't really trust Gravenberch and Szoboszlai playing together. I don't think it really works. I feel like there's two players trying to do the same kind of thing. So you'd have to drop Szoboszlai, in my opinion, for Gravenberch if you're going to play him, because you need someone like Jones potentially in there just to kind of retain possession. I just feel. I don't think they're going to be too dangerous in the middle there, but if, for example, they decide to play like Maino in there, who I think is a decent player, he's got abundance of energy. You might need someone who's going to be able to try and stifle that. And I think Jones might be able to potentially do that. All right, now here's where it gets interesting. Gakpo. I'll go with... You know what's so mad? Because I feel like they're going to play Wan-Bissaka on that side because of Diaz. I feel that. I feel like that could be something that they might do. And Wan-Bissaka versus Diaz, it's going to be a cooking either way. Either Diaz is going to cook Wan-Bissaka or Wan-Bissaka is going to lock up Luis Diaz. He's quick enough. He's probably as quick as a Diaz. Do you know what I mean? His tackles could be it's a tricky one, because then otherwise what you could do is you can have Nunes up there and then have Gakpo out on the wings, and then Gakpo can kind of drop in every now and again. He needs to fix up his performances, though. I will say that about Gakpo. He does need to fix up his performances, but that's probably one way you could go, or you could put Luis Diaz there. And if you put Luis Diaz there, then I'll go with Gakpo up front. As always, yeah, I think Nunes be good to come off the bench. Harvey Elliott come off the bench. Endo to come off the bench. Gravenberch come off the bench. That's 4 players coming off the bench. I think that would be a good 4 to have to come off the bench. So yeah, that's what I would go with for the time. But obviously, we'd have to wait, and we will have to see. If I just show you guys Liverpool's last few games, if I take the banner off. So you guys can see here, Crystal Palace, obviously we won that game. Obviously, this doesn't include the Union SG game, but prior to that, obviously, beat Palace, beat Sheffield United, beat Fulham, beat Lask, and drew to Manchester City. And Manchester United, same thing. Well, obviously their game was a bit earlier than ours, but lost to Bayern, lost 3-0 at home to Bournemouth, beat Chelsea 2-1, lost 1-0 to Newcastle, and drew 3-3 with Galatasaray. They've had some crazy mixed results in there. Like when I look at it, I'm like, oh, you beat Chelsea 2-1. Okay, no problem, no problem. Galatasaray away. Obviously, context, we know what the context of that game is, but in reality, I'm like, okay, I'm not too like whatever. Bayern again, I'm also not too whatever, but then you lose 3-0 to Bournemouth, and lost obviously away to Newcastle. So it's like, and but beat Chelsea 2-1. I don't know, man. They're just super, super, super weird. And obviously, these are the last few results. We had that infamous 7-0 against them at Anfield. 2-1. They beat us in the first fixture of that season. And that's when we didn't know how shit Liverpool were going to be. Before that, they beat us 4-0. That was in pre-season. We beat them 4-0 at Anfield before that. They 5-0 before that. 4-2 before that. And they beat us last time they beat us, well, prior to that 2022 game, was back in 2021 where they beat us 2-1 at Old Trafford. So again, like I said, man, it's going to be an interesting type of game. If I go to my score prediction, boom. That's what I think the score is going to be. I think it's going to be a lot tighter than what people believe it would be. If I'm being 100% honest with you, I don't know what it is. I just feel like if they play like the same way that they played against Bayern Munich. Now that wasn't a great performance, but if they play similar in terms of stifling type of football, that's where I feel Liverpool can sometimes, be a little bit impatient. At times Liverpool can be a little bit impatient. So that's where I'm a little bit like, And if I just take a look at the lineup that they put out against Bayern Munich, so you guys can obviously see here. So you can see obviously Onana. Right back they had Dalot, Maguire, Varane, and Luke Shaw. Now that's actually a decent defense to have if they were going into the game against Liverpool with that defense. But we don't know yet. Again, at the time of this video, by the time it gets released, I don't know what their team is going to look like. But we know that Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire obviously got themselves injured. Midfield, we know that Bruno Fernandes is not available for the game due to picking up suspension. Amrabat and McTominay, and then they had Garnacho, Højlund, and Anthony. Anthony is shit, so I don't really feel too much issues with him, so to speak. He's one of those players, just don't let him cut in on his left foot, but I'm not too worried about him. But defensively, I feel like he would try and maintain a job, so to speak. And that's where him maybe if Luke Shaw can't play, then maybe they put Dalot at left back, Wan-Bissaka at right back. That's what I would do. I'll definitely be playing Wan-Bissaka in a game like this. They need a Luke Shaw. They need someone like him to play, and definitely like a Harry Maguire, who's been pretty decent for them, and obviously Varane's back for them as well. Midfield, I feel like they're going to play Maino. I don't know why. I just have this weird feeling that he might play in this game. Obviously, of course, with Bruno Fernandes not there, that might be an option. I don't know the situation with Casemiro as well. I know that he's back training, I believe. So if that's the case, I don't think he'll be ready for the Liverpool game. But if he is, then he will play there. Obviously, then you got Amrabat there as well. McTominay, who's been getting himself a few goals recently for both Scotland and Manchester United. So he might just be someone to watch, so to speak, especially when you get in and around the box. You don't really want someone like him who's in decent scoring form to be in and around those kind of areas. So again, that might just be something to potentially look at. Their attack is the part where I'm just generally not scared of, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't think they score from their attack. I don't know if Marcus Rashford will be back or anything like that, but their attack isn't the area that I look at and think, oh my goodness, like I'm shook. Like they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that kind of thing. I think all three of those players are performing quite rubbish, to be honest with you. Højlund not scored in, what is it, like 11, 12, however many games for Manchester United in the league. Garnacho, Anthony, I'm not really too fussed with that. But I just feel that we're getting so carried away and thinking that we're going to win 8, 9, 10-0 or whatever, that they might surprise us. But I'm going to go with 2-1. That's my gut feeling at this current moment in time, is I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory for Liverpool. Anything less than that, then yeah, that's, you can't win every game. I understand that. but at the same time, that will be highly disappointing for Liverpool. But guys, let me know in the chat, what do you guys think? What do you think the score is going to be? Liverpool versus Manchester United. Can Liverpool stay top of the Premier League after match day 17? By the time that they play, I believe everybody else would have played in the Premier League. If I just take a quick look at the Premier League fixtures and things like that, who's playing who. So you've got Aston Villa away to Brentford. Arsenal have got Brighton at home, and Manchester City have got Crystal Palace at home. So yeah, Liverpool might not be top by the time they actually come round to facing Manchester United, but hopefully we can end the weekend at the top of the table. But guys, let me know what you think about my lineup. Let me know what you think about the score prediction. Give me your score prediction. Give me your lineup in the comment section below. I'm G, and we are out.